Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. Tonight we have Matthew John. This is going to be fun, y'all. Discovering your star seed mission, and we're going to get into it. We'll take live Q&A also, which I love it when Matthew's on. These are like so informative. They're really playful. They're really a huge transmission as well, just being on this whole call. So again, it's going to be extraordinary. If you're new to Matthew, he's an internationally recognized spiritual teacher, intuitive psychic medium, trance channel, intuitive astrologer, starseed guide, energy healer, medical intuitive speaker, and spiritual life coach mentor working with angels, archangels, ascended masters, and galactic. He's a gifted intuitive, wisdom channeler, trance channel, and transmitter of higher frequencies. And he's just a transmitter of big, beautiful love as far as I'm concerned. And again, we're getting into discovering your starseed mission. And with that, Matthew, welcome to today's call. It's so good to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited. I can't believe that it's already March 7th, right? I mean, time just keeps going. I've been looking forward to this for a while. Thank you.
Yeah. So discovering starseed missions. Most people just want to know where they're from.
And we've talked about that a lot in some of our other calls, haven't we?
How do we get to the mission part?
The mission part, yeah. I mean, that's the next step. I like to, look at it as once you know, okay, I'm from Sirius or I'm from the Pleiades, right? Or I'm from Arcturus. And by the way, I'm absolutely happy. It brings me great joy to be able to tell people where they're from. On today's call, if people want to raise their hand, I'm happy to tell people. But yeah, the next step is, a lot of times is like, okay, that's cool, right? It's really cool to know that I'm this galactic being just playing in human form, right? But what does it mean for my human self? Because sometimes it can feel like there's this disconnect. Actually, often, and for some people, almost all the time, it can feel like this great disconnect, this great vibrational dissonance between, okay, I'm living in this 3D world, which has a lot of problems, right? And my life maybe has a lot of problems. Maybe I'm struggling with relationships, with money, maybe I'm just not happy, right? Maybe my health. And you're telling me and you're showing me that I'm truly this great galactic being with just filled with nothing but light, with happy all the time, no illness, no problems, right? How do I reconcile those two things? Because they seem sometimes irreconcilable, right? The point is that, Earth is like a game. It's a video game, you might call it. Earth is a playground in the third density. It's a playground in a polarized dimension or density. And as such, part of the whole game is just coming here to experience light and dark, to experience difficulties, because we're coming from a place where there is no more difficulty. Before you fractalize and send yourself to Earth, imagine you're sitting up in Sirius or the Pleiades or Arcturus, right? And you're going through training to become a starseed and put yourself, in a lower dimension. And you're like looking through these holographic brochures of like, okay, I can go to this place or this place. And one of them is Earth. And it's like, oh my God, there's like constant war going on. And there's this like top-down capitalistic system where everyone is kept in poverty. And like the people are told that they're alone in the universe and they're like using gasoline to run cars. And like, it's crazy. Like how that's really low dimensional. Like, whoa, like, and you're like, wow, I want to do that. That's like, that's a high level of difficulty. That's like, those of you that have ever played game. My dad was a gamer. A lot of you probably have teenage kids that are gamers, or maybe you are yourself. It's like putting the difficulty settings on high, on the highest they can go to come down to Earth, right? But it's not just about coming down to Earth and experiencing it and surviving it and ultimately ascending out of it. It's also about wanting to contribute something that's very important, something that is actually crucial. You may not realize this, and it may seem like to the ego, like, oh, that can't be true. But if you're here, if you're on the planet, and if you're a starseed, and whether you're a starseed or not, but I'm talking to the starseeds tonight, right? Is you are an integral piece of the puzzle that creates the ascension process on this planet. And without your piece, the ascension truly cannot be completed. All is meant to be as it is. There are no mistakes. There are no errors. and you have to be here. So those of you that have ever felt, let us know in the chat if you felt this longing or this yearning, like you're not from here, like you're from up there, right? Have you felt this loneliness on this planet? Have you felt this disconnect? You don't understand why there's so much violence in this world. You don't understand why the financial system dominates us, right? And can make us feel, in survival mode and afraid, right? How am I going to pay my next bill? Where am I going to go? Am I going to be homeless, right? And just all of the features of this very dense experience that Earth is, right? If you truly are a starseed, you're going to have those feelings. You're going to have those feelings of loneliness from time to time, of disconnection, of feeling sometimes even hopeless. But it's important to remember in tonight's call, I really want this to be kind of one of the main takeaways, is that you came here for a very specific purpose, and you're probably already on the way. You're probably already on the path to it. You may just not know it yet.
So we understand again that starseeds have a special mission here.
Yeah.
That are really unique from non-starseeds.
The unique
Talk to us
part
about the
of
difference.
Yeah, that's a great point. The unique part of it is that, okay, so for non-starseeds, the term I use is earth seeds, right? Earth seeds mean and another term for it would be an organic consciousness. It doesn't mean you're an inorganic consciousness. It just means that earth seeds are organic essentially to the earth realm itself, meaning they began as a single photon. Like, what is a soul? The way that I describe a soul, and I think the easiest way to comprehend it, is that a soul is light, right? You are a collection of photons. Your photonic field, which creates into this beautiful toroidal shape. And it turns out probably the universe itself, by the way, is shaped in a toroidal field. There's a white hole and a black hole. The white hole creates new galaxies, and the black hole, the galaxies, that's the death of the galaxies, or the end of their track, right? And the exhale is the white hole and the inhale is the black hole. And it's just this constantly perpetuating system. And that's what the toroidal field of all living beings, including plants, looks like. Like, you could even, there's an argument to be said that plants haven't reached that yet, or even animals haven't, but humans absolutely have that toroidal field regardless. But being an earth seed means that you essentially began as a single photon that was donated from the planetary consciousness of Earth herself, right? Thus, you don't have the library of experience that starseeds do, because as a starseed, you must have already ascended, or else you wouldn't have been able to get here. You couldn't have gotten to Earth if you hadn't already reached a point in your ascension. In my model that I teach, this would be the sixth density or higher, where you have basically bridged the experience of duality into a oneness, right? And there is no more oscillation back and forth, wild oscillations between light and dark. You've alchemized it all, and you're simply living. It's a very blissful experience. Like, this is the type of experience that some of us have had fleeting experiences of, whether it's in meditation or with plant medicine or whatever, a guided meditation or a QHHT session or whatever. But it's fleeting, right? But from a sixth density experience or higher, this is what it's like. It's just blissful all the time. And you've already been through an experience with whatever planetary collective or star system collective that you're on, of an ascension process of all the planets in that star system. So you've already gone through what it's like to, over the course of millions of years, to go through a process of moving from a polarized lower third or fourth dimensional experience all the way up to that fifth, sixth density experience where there is no more polarity anymore and just life is blissful, right? So you have that experience with you. You know it on a very deep level. We could say it's stored in the unconscious mind. We could say it's stored somewhere in the back of the energy field, in the back of the chakras, right? That information, that library of information about what that experience was like, is somewhere within you. And because it's somewhere within you, you have access to it. Part of your awakening process as a starseed is really a remembrance. And the remembering can come through, just spontaneous awakening experience. Again, meditation, plant medicine, maybe you're hiking. It can come through session work. I've had the pleasure of literally working with thousands of people one-on-one over the past decade plus. And I've been that beacon of kind of turning on the light switch for a lot of people, a lot of starseeds. Almost everyone I work with is starseeds, right? So that information, you have that experience, and thus you know what it's like to be on an ascending planet already. You're here doing it again in a different location. John, you're muted.
I muted myself when I was sneezing, excuse me. So I love the depth in which you take us in and how you just make it so relatable, but it's important to know these things because there's something on a physiological nervous system level that is just, oh, it's like I can relax more into that. I can attune into that. And then that allows us to receive more information. We become more open and receptive to the next level. It's like, okay, so starseed, I'm feeling something that in me. It's like, okay, what starseed am I from? And does my particular lineage of starseed have a thematic purpose? Or are we just all kind of running around galactically, chaotically to bring our gifts here so that in the hopes that it'll eventually land and help this ascension process for Earth?
It's such an amazing question. So, and thank you. Think of it as like okay, I'm from New York, right? I grew up in New York City area, and like I think New York City has the best food in the entire world. I think a lot of people would agree. Why? Because you have every single ethnic restaurant from every single country on the planet there, right? And it's the best of the best. Like these are the best cooks, coming over here to open up a restaurant. And so the diversity between the earth cultures, this is kind of the microcosm to answer that question, right? Absolutely. Just as the Italians and the St. Patty's Day is coming up, the Irish and the Ethiopians and the Moroccans and the Nepalese, like everyone on this planet, every culture has distinct types of food, music, right? Ways of greeting each other, ways that their societies run. I mean, there's very patriarchal societies and there's very matriarchal societies, right? And that's a good microcosm. That's a good window into what it's like in the galaxy. Every star system has different types of people that look really different, okay? From, the mantis beings, which look like these tall praying mantises, which like initially people can be kind of freaked out. You're telling me I look like this 9-foot tall green bug? It's like, yeah, but they're the most beautiful, loving, benevolent, service-oriented beings like in the galaxy, right? To the Sirians, who kind of look like us, but they're really blue and they're really tall. They're like really, really blue. I'll never forget when I was living in Brazil at the ayahuasca church I was frequenting. The end of one of the sessions, my friend from the UK, Mike, he turned to me. He's like, "Matt, I saw you. You were this giant blue being." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's the Sirian. That's awesome." So
that.
From that to, the Lyrans, which a lot of them look very human. A lot of them look more like, a fusion between cat people and humans, or lion people and humans, right? With fur. There's just such a diversity, right? And there's also such a diversity of culture. Like the Syrians are very much, I'm predominantly Syrian. We really have such an affinity for theater and art and comedy. It's a very Leo vibration, where the Arcturians it's a very different vibration. It's very cerebral. It's more serious. It's more about, study and science and math, right? Every different type of being around the universe, but really just to not go too far, just even in our galaxy has a different culture, different genetics. They look very different, and thus a different contribution. The Pleiadian star, I've never met to this day, and this is going to sound really wild, but to this day, I haven't met or worked with a Pleiadian starseed who has not either been through sexual abuse or addiction in their ascension lifetime. It just, for whatever reason, it's something Pleiadian star, and not for whatever reason, I kind of understand why, because the Pleiadians come here to balance out the masculine and the feminine dynamics on this planet. So those that are primarily Pleiadian, when I'm saying Pleiadian, I mean primarily Pleiadian, meaning you came from the Pleiades right before Earth. That's what I call the primary star origin. That you came here because you came into a part of the timeline, at least, and before this, we jump around. So we come into the reincarnation process. I call it the fourth dimension of planet Earth, the astral realm. Imagine that around the Earth itself, there's this like hue, this band, right? And that's the home of archangels and ascended masters. It's also the home of demons. It's also the home of anything that is unseen. It's also the home of all possible timelines and never end up manifesting into the physical world. And from that fourth dimension, that's where you plan out your physical lifetimes. You're up there, I've always seen it at this long conference room table. There's your other souls that right, that are very close to you, that are in your soul group. There's ascended masters, there's angels, and you're planning out your lifetime on like these, like I see it as this like moving puzzle kind of board, right? But when you plan out your lifetime, it's not even sequential in linear time. Sometimes it is for a few lifetimes, but most of the time it's like, all right, I'm going to have a lifetime in Atlantis, and then I'm going to have a lifetime as a monk in Japan in the 19th century, and then I'm going to have a lifetime as this like woman who had no power and was like enslaved in the 12th century in Bavaria, right? So it's not even a linear progression as far as our perception of time. But Pleiadian starseeds, for example, they're going to choose a lot of lifetimes where some they played the role of the shadow dark masculine, basically, energetically and physically stepping on the feminine, right? And then to contrast that and to balance and alchemize that, they're going to have lifetimes as women that were essentially kept in some sort of energetic or literal slavery, right? Or abused, and especially sexually abused, in order to rebalance it out. And then the ascension lifetime, there has to be the re-experience of that in some way. And that becomes the final karmic hurdle. A lot of you on this call, maybe all of you, have had really difficult lives. I've had a very difficult life. John, you've been through a lot yourself. And we all have. And, it's the darkness that we move through that creates the light, right? Because that's the whole point, is to take all the karmic experiences that we've had from other lifetimes. We have to re-experience them emotionally in one way or another. So we recreate them, usually in less traumatic ways, or at least in ways that aren't going to kill us, because we have a plan that we need to be here for at least a certain amount of time. And then once we move through the karmic hurdles, it's like things just start to clear up. And it's a massive relief. And you can still then create more problems through your, being used to the patterns that you're used to, right? But if you start to really do the spiritual work to become more vibrationally elevated, like more of the time, you'll stop having to experience a lot of people ask me that question on readings, like, oh my God, I had this karmic relationship, this one, then I had this tragedy. Am I done? Sometimes I look at, their life plan psychically, and I see, yeah, you actually kind of are. Like, you're entering a plateau period. And then sometimes it's no, because the lessons fully haven't been integrated. Whatever happens, no matter what, is always trying to teach you something. There's no exceptions to that. You cannot possibly have an experience that was an accident, I truly believe. No matter what, it is there to teach you something, and it will be recurring lessons, and the lessons will keep recurring until you fully master them. Even after you master them, you'll get retested later on, right? But through that process, eventually you do reach a point in the ascension lifetime where things do start to clear out, and it becomes more about creating. And that's generally the point where your starseed mission can actually begin to accelerate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're creating from a whole different energetic from that place. The density or the fear, the apprehension, whatever, again, was irreconcilable within you as that matures and expands, and you have the experience of that maturation, that there really is an expansion that happens psychically and consciously, where we connect to those origin places, and actually the support from those places helps to facilitate the karmic cycles here as well. And so there's a direct thread into, again, we feel guides, we feel collectives from galaxies or from planets that are showing up for us in this resonance. And I believe that those guides, those teams of support, those way showers from those realms are keeping that connection alive, and we empower it as we work through, again, those things that seem really difficult perhaps to go through. But the beautiful part of it is that we're capable, we're equipped, and more now than ever, the veils are getting thinner so that we have more access to that support. The translation of that support is being made available, and we can hold it in vibrational frequency that much more strongly than we could before in our physical and our auric bodies. for that transmutation to really take effect much more quickly. So it's phenomenal what's arising. It's wonderful to be in the times that we're in and to see so many people popping from those old paradigms in the field into another level of what's possible.
I love all that, John. And I think a good metaphor is like, okay, imagine you're when you're flying and you just brought way too much crap with you. Like this is me, like all the time, way too many suitcases, right?
Stuff,
and you're trying, it's just you, and you're trying to figure out how the heck do I get all this through the airport, right? So imagine that you're carrying, or maybe this is the past you, and hopefully it is, but or maybe it's suppressing you, and it's okay wherever you're at, right? Because people are finding this sort of material at all sorts of different stages. But imagine you're still carrying all of this heavy shit with you. Just, it's weighing you down. It's like the 10 of Wands in the tarot, right? Well, there's no room, or there's little room basically to have an opening that, to create something that is more of light or more of a higher vibration. So your soul is going to have you continue to work on whatever you need to do and whatever lessons need to come up in order for you to finally alchemize and be able to let go of that baggage. And that's when, like you were describing, there's just a new space that opens up in the field, in the nervous system, in the body, in your consciousness, right? To be able to move on with the greater mission. And it's a really wonderful blessing. And it's a lot of times, like when you're going through a dark night of the soul, I mean, there's a ton of people on this call. I'm sure some people on this call literally feel like they're in a dark night right now, right? I've been through, I would say, probably 3 major ones in my life and lots of mini ones. And I'm a young guy. I'm only in my 30s, right? I like to say, late 20s, but I gave it away. Anyways, so, and John, I tell people you're like 29. And they're like, "Oh yeah,
I love that. It's perfect." I like to say I'm in my lower 50s, but that wouldn't be true anymore.
I told my mother how old you actually. I showed her our picture from LA, and I told her how old you actually are. She's like, "No, come on, no, there's no way." Really?
It's the beauty of consuming plastics on a continuous basis. It preserves us. But
that's the key.
That's exactly.
Thank God. Yeah, there was all these studies this past week about how awful microplastics are for us, and they're just literally, you can't even avoid it. It's just crazy.
Well, here's one of the benefits. There you go. There's
if you start to think about like how polluted the world is, it drives you nuts. I just stop focusing on it. I really just, I try to do the best I can, eat organic, etc. But it's being on this planet, it's so much more toxic than any other planet in the galaxy right now. But this is why we're here as Starseeds, to shift this, right? And thank God that, this year we have a really we have a lot of important astrological events this year, but I think one of the most important ones is Jupiter and Uranus conjunct, and this is happening next month, April 20th, on Earth Day, which I think is no accident, right? And every time Jupiter and Uranus have conjunct, we've gotten really amazing technological innovations, like with flight and with with energy. And I do see the push towards cleaner energy, and I love that. But that's it. Even that's only an intermediary, right? Because we're still the only planet pretty much in the galaxy that needs to basically burn things and create waste, like even like nuclear fusion, which is my hope will be the next iteration of things. Even that has some waste to it, right? But like, it shows us where we're at, and it's still in the lower rungs of the third density as a whole, because we have to create destruction in order to create energy. When we're in the fourth density or higher, that requirement's gone. We can just create energy, and it doesn't leave any destructive effect.
Mm-hmm. There's so many things that we need to get into on today's call. Y'all, we're gonna take live Q&A. We're gonna disperse. I'm gonna start that here pretty soon. We have to get into what's going on in Pisces right now, or about to come up. And there's gonna be a transmission that Matthew's gonna take us on today as well.
Yeah.
And y'all, the special offer, it not only does it have live courses, live components with Matthew, but the opportunity for a one-on-one session where you just get so much information. So again, we have a lot to cover. If you want a session, April, put the link for the special offer in the chat box right now, please. or y'all click on the link and right below the video, you'll see the special offer button. Sign up again on the calendar sooner rather than later.
And we have an early bird special with that. If you sign up early, you get access to the bonus March 24th call.
That's right.
Which teaches you to clear geopathic stress from your home and property, which is really important because that is something you can take control of. You can't take control of, what's coming from the sky, but you can take control of what's below you by transmuting it with very specific techniques that have been, passed down through generations, clearing, things like under the effects of underground water and clearing the effects of any geopathic stress, ley lines that you might be on. Like if you're on that stuff, it can cause all sorts of mental and physical health issues and just can be ungrounding, and it's just not good, right? So sign up early, you get access to that bonus call on the 24th of this month.
Awesome. Again, we're going to get into special offer in more detail in a little bit. Matthew, but before I take live callers, let's talk about the astrology of what's happening right now. I mean, what you're seeing. Yeah.
Well, the new moon in Pisces, right? This is the time to be creative and intuitive. Like, you're Pisces, you know Pisces very well. Pisces is just about letting go into the flow, right? And you're so good at that. I'm a Virgo moon, so I'm a planner, I'm a scheduler, I'm a detail guy. And part of my big lessons in this life, my mother's a Pisces, is, kind of integrating Virgo and Pisces, because I tend, if I'm not careful, to go too much into Virgo. Pisces is all about just literally like trying to leave your left brain behind as much as you can during this time and just pay attention to the signs and the synchronicities that life has for you. Pay attention to your intuition, trust your intuition. Even if you think you don't know your intuition, just try as best you can. Pisces says, I'm doing my best, it's good enough, right? Virgo on the other side says, no, it's not good enough. You gotta do better. Pisces is about letting go into the flow, do the best you can, read your intuition, read the signs, but don't think about it. Just feel and flow, right? And if you're an artist or you're a creative person anyway, be creative during this time. Get out, your camera. If you're a photographer, get out, your board and do some art. Make a sculpture, right? Garden is a very creative sort of endeavor, right? It's springtime already, especially nowadays. Like it's crazy the weather here. I'm getting bit by mosquitoes in March, and I'm in Western New York. The climate's getting really weird.
Okay.
It's
weird.
Very noticeable this year. We barely got any snow. We've had more 60-degree, 70-degree days I can ever remember in the winter. It's getting weird. But, garden, work with the earth, right? Go in water if you can, go in the ocean, and anything that brings you into the psychic realms. Like this Starseed topic is perfect because this is bringing us up. Pisces rules the 12th house, which is the last house before the start of the zodiac wheel, which is Aries, the first house, which is really physical and in the earth. Pisces is about everything up there. Let us know in the chat. Have you had really either weird or long or just vivid as heck dreams lately, right? I have had several odd experiences literally in the past week of where I thought I was asleep for 2 weeks and it was like 4 hours. I'm like, oh, great, I can go back to sleep. But just really vivid dreams. And this is what's happening now with Pisces season, right? So it's all about the things that are up there. And, we have an eclipse season coming up, right? Which is going to be really special because April 8th is the Great American Eclipse that tracks across the US. It's going to come right over my house, right? So if you're not in the path of totality, come to Rochester, say hi, right? But
Awesome.
I can't wait. I may do a live stream. I'll see how I'm feeling, but I can't wait. It's going to be so special. And that eclipse, that April 8th eclipse, which is in Aries, part of what it's doing is that track of totality. What I've received is that it's clearing up a lot of the dense karma that is stored in the grid lines exactly where it's tracking across the US, especially karma that has to do with indigenous peoples. Okay. I had a chat in LA where we saw each other at Conscious Life with this fascinating man whose literal job is to go between each of the 500 plus tribes throughout the country. And, they discuss political things and how to, reconcile and how to keep the legacies and the traditions alive. And, it's just one of the things I received about this April 8th eclipse is it's pulling up a lot of the negative karma, not just from indigenous, but from slavery, from the dark history of the United States, right? And a lot of people may be feeling a lot of anger after that eclipse, over the 2 weeks after. A lot of political, I think, anger coming up around certain topics that we don't, need to go into, but just, look at the news, right? And it's a very strong, angry energy being Aries. But the other side of that is it's a strong push, like a redirection for those that need it exactly onto our soul's mission, because the North Node and Chiron, the wounded healer, are conjunct right now in Aries. The North Node, I'm having a North Node Aries return. So there you can figure out how old I am right now. And, John, you told me the first time we talked, he's like, I think your career is about to like pop. And it kind of has, like, since we talked that first time. It's really remarkable. And I'm very grateful for it. But astrologically, I'm not surprised because I'm in my Aries North Node return, right? And when we're in our North Node return, that's when we experience that acceleration, right? But for everyone, regardless, especially with Chiron, Chiron holds the key to our healing skills, all the skills that we brought from off planet, from Lemuria, from Atlantis, from other lifetimes on this planet where we've gone in a very spiritual direction. In our chart, Chiron rules over that. It's conjunct the North Node right now, and we're about to have this eclipse season. So during every eclipse season, codes are downloaded to us, whether we know it or not, whether we believe in astrology or not, whether we are spiritual or not, it doesn't matter. Everyone on the planet, codes are downloaded that redirect you for the next 6 months. But this one is going to be especially powerful because it's in Aries and it's occurring right after the astrological new year, and because it's a total solar eclipse. So for the next month or next weeks and months after, you may experience some drastic changes in your life if you need it. If you're already on the right path, it's going to give you an influx of energy, a great influx of energy, and you can harness it and really get going with your soul mission, with your starseed mission, improve your relationships, improve your health, right? If you've been kind of wavering off what your soul would ideally like you to be doing, or the level or the vibration, it's going to push you on, and it may be through, having to go through difficult stuff. And before that, we have on March 25th, the Libra lunar eclipse. And that's going to be, the Aries is the ascendant, Libra is the descendant. That's going to be about relationships and about family. If you're in a partnership right now where things are going great, this eclipse season is going to give you a lot of energy. It's going to bond you together even closer. You're going to, I like to see like divine relationships as a spiral where, think about the first time you meet, you're like, here, maybe your souls know each other. Of course they do, right? But as you get closer, you start to spiral around each other until you're intertwined energetically, right? So this eclipse season will really help with that intertwining. But if you're in a relationship that's not working, this is the type of eclipse season it's going to go like this, because it has to. Aries is about directing you on your soul's path. And then the Libra part of it is, okay, which relationships are you going to keep carrying with you, and which ones are you leaving behind? So get ready. We've been in the first quarter of 2024 has been a really nice time astrologically. There's been no planets going retrograde. We've been all moving forward. There's been very few difficult. We have a kind of a difficult Mars-Uranus square on this new moon, but there really haven't been many difficult squares. It's been more conjunctions, trines, nice energy. You can see it reflected. A lot of economic markers have been very good the first quarter of 2024, and a lot of people just been feeling this reprieve after almost 4 years of COVID. Right? It's like, oh, kind of things are pretty normal at least in the West, right? Well. And I'm not worried about anything like that anymore. But as far as like your personal life, just get ready for things are going to accelerate, speed up. And if you need a kick in the butt from the universe, it's going to come, especially April, May.
I love this, y'all. And y'all welcome all of it with an open heart because it's all
Yeah,
happening for
yeah,
us. It's all
yeah.
part of the refinement process. It's not here to punish us. It's not here because we've been bad. It's not here because the world is collapsing and you're experiencing this and you're a victim of it. It's all showing up because we're ascending, we're refining because we have this potential that we felt inside of us and we didn't know how to access or it wasn't demonstrating itself. And this is refining your access to that actualized potential. And so this is exciting. And if we can't war within ourselves, which is this Aries energy again coming up, then our capacity to war against somebody else is tremendously diminished. So it's just,
Whoa, hold on. Can you repeat that? That was really profound.
yeah, if we can't war within ourselves, our capacity to war with someone else is exponentially diminished.
Right, right.
It goes hand in hand. Yeah.
Exactly. And like what's going on, a lot of people have trouble, starseeds, light workers have trouble reconciling in their mind. I totally get it. How can we truly be going through an ascension when there's all these wars going on? We laughed and joked about how polluted the planet is and it only gets worse every year. How can are we actually ascending, or is this all an illusion? Is this all just like, we're just drinking, hopium, right? The reconciliation is that it's a reflection of the macro, and we are still in the minority. We really are. We're still the leading edge. Go to the beach and watch when there's whitecaps, right? The whitecaps rolling in. We are the whitecap. We are the leading edge, pushing consciousness forward on this planet, we're directing the timeline because we're operating over time at a higher vibration than 99% of the planet. We have more of an energetic influence. We actually have more of a responsibility when we're awakened to be in the light, to be in our heart, to love ourselves, to love others, to intend for the highest future we want to see. And we know this as starseeds. We remember this. I'm speaking to a lot of a lot of things that you guys watching this remember, right? But we are just the leading edge, and we can't look at what's going on as confirmation. We can look at what's going on as, okay, this is where we're still at, and that's okay. That's okay. We're being patient with this process, realizing it's going to take quite a long time, and it's going to look ugly on the outside world, and that's okay. But that just shows us that we are here to change it. We are here to shift it.
I love your metaphors. This is so awesome. So good. White caps. Could we, right? Y'all are the white caps.
You see it, right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Matthew, I want to get to some,
on a micro level, on a micro level. So my understanding is that every soul group is 12 souls, right? Are there exceptions to that? I don't know. That's a Virgo question, but I think there's 12, right? So to me, I see there's always one or two souls that are pushing the rest of the soul group forward energetically, where the rest, and this is the answer to why, your mother or your sister or your son, they're so different, and you argue, and it's such a difficult, burden in a lot of ways, right? Well, it's because they haven't reached your vibration yet, because you were the one that said, I am going to be the one to lead the rest of the group. I am ready. I want to lead the rest of you. So the rest of you, at your own time. Some of the people in your soul group, they'll have to enter another incarnation. They'll have to leave the planet, when their time is there, and come back in a new body before they're truly able to catch up with where you are vibrationally, right? So everything has a leading edge to it.
Yeah, this is wonderful. Matt, I want to get into Q&A. I'm feeling the audience so much.
Yeah.
And what's going, and y'all, we're still doing a transmission. We have to go through the special offer because y'all are going to want to participate, and there's more coming through. So this is cool. Let's go to user 381. Welcome to the call. What is your name and what is your question from Matthew?
Hi, it's Andrea.
Hi.
Hi, Andrea.
Hi, Andrea.
Hi, John. Hi, Matthew.
Hi.
I had made a point through listening to you quite often here on BTO, but never being on live. I jumped on tonight. I'm like, I'm going to be live. So I am really right with you. Like everything you've said, I'm like, yep. And I think my question is like, Pleiadian all the way from being a child. I knew that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And I'm getting that sense that it's like I'm completing the Pleiadian piece. And so the other pieces are wanting to come in. And I thought I would check in with you to see.
Well, Lyran was what came up immediately for me.
Yeah.
Have you looked into that side of things? Because I think you're right. I think that may be what is coming up. And then I do feel the Orion piece as well. And a lot of Pleiadian starseeds did decide to visit Orion during the darkest times, we could say, in galactic history, which we would call the Orion Wars. And that you as a soul may have been part of that. So I'd see those two pieces, especially the Lyran piece for you. You know, I get the sense you're the type of person you want to figure everything out. You probably love reading a lot of books and watching a lot of videos and traveling, right? I hope you travel, because Lyrans are meant to travel. And Lyrans, you know, they're, as starseeds, they need to be very connected physically with the Earth, and especially at the Stargate points, at you know, the points of the Earth that have that hold a much higher concentration of codes, we could say, than other parts. Which, you know, think about, and not just for you, but for everyone, think about Mount Shasta or Sedona, or, you know, Hawaii, where you are, John, or, you know, the Himalayas or Glastonbury, you know, the chakras of the planet, or just the points where a lot of ley lines cross. And like, it's important to visit a lot of those different places. Are you a writer at all?
I am. Yeah.
Did you write books?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So fiction?
Yes, but, you know,
Well, but so that's the thing. I would start moving into nonfiction. I get visions of you like being kind of a, you know, a new age archaeologist, so to speak, writer, where, you know, you don't necessarily have to get a shovel, but just, you know, kind of weaving together the mysteries of the Earth, right, into books. There's a ton of books about that, but there's always a new way to present it. There's always a new way to weave it together into what it means for the new age.
That's very true. You know, I wanted to ask you one thing about the mantises.
Yeah.
Because I have one memory under age 5 where they came around where I was sitting, and they were having all of my little utensils like flying in the air. And I've always loved them. And I told someone about it. They said, they're very bad. This is like through time, right? I'm like, no, they're not. No, they're not.
Yeah. People misperceive them. Yeah. People miss. And actually, you know, what's interesting is that anyone that has a mantis history in them, like, can relate to being misperceived in this human life, right? Falsely accused, or just, you know, made fun of, or not feeling comfortable when they were young in like social settings, right? Sometimes not even feeling comfortable in the human body real well. And those are like some of the main, you know, signs and symptoms of being a mantis, or having mantis history to you. So there's absolutely a connection there. Let me see if I see you actually being, I see the Pleiadian piece of Lyre and the Orion. I do see there's a mantis. I still trace your soul originally back to the Pleiades, but as a Pleiadian being, you wanted to play as a lot of different beings throughout the Milky Way, including mantis, including Lyre and Orion, including even briefly Sirian, including Blue Avian. There could even be others. Yeah. So, but like, think of the Pleiades as like your hub and your starting point and your ending point. It's where it all recycles back to, right? Is the Pleiades. That's where you'll probably end up when you're done with Earth, whenever, you know, you say that's the thing to do. So, does that make sense?
Yeah, you're very profound. I love how you language all of this. And I really do think.
Andrew, I want to go on to another caller, because we can spend so much time on you. But what was that last thought that you had? I was
just going to say that, like, you know, there is this beautiful thing that a lot of us from the Pleiades can complete a lot of that suffering stuff. You know, like what you said about. I mean, it really is time. It's time, and it doesn't mean you don't go through things still, but you have a different awareness to it. Like, game on. You said this is like a game here. And when we can start, when a Pleiadian can start to feel that way, I think really things can super shift.
I agree. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for coming on. And I love how you're reading her authorship, her fiction books, changing over. Again, I won't call it a need to hide, but of being subtle with what you know. And for a lot of us, y'all, as star seeds, we don't have to be subtle with what we know anymore. It's just time to embody and own it and really
Oh yeah.
be an
Yeah.
be an example of what's possible. So, and we can do that with so much love, not with force. We don't have to try to convince someone. We can just be it. And they get
Yeah.
convinced through osmosis because you're radiant and they want to know how you're doing that.
You know what? An interesting manifestation for light workers, starseeds that I found in my own life of the Aries Libra polarity, right? So, okay, Aries is about the individual, it's the ascendant. Libra is a descendant, it's about others, right? So think about through your awakening process, right? Which friends have stuck with you and which haven't, right? And the friends that have stuck with you, even if they don't fully understand you, they absolutely are receiving a lot of codes from you by osmosis. And I found it's just so fascinating how friends that I never thought would have been interested in any of the stuff that I'm doing, and I thought I had to just hide and be like, oh yeah, I'm a life coach. Yeah, what's that? Let's not get into it, right? You don't want to know. Don't go to my website, please, right? That's how I used to be. But then I started realizing, you know what, the right people, like you just said, you know, the right people will actually be interested and they'll actually start learning from you. And I find that a very interesting manifestation of this whole process.
I want to get into some more calls and we have to get into special offer in a second. There's a fear. There's a fear that runs through different star seeds. And maybe it also has some Atlantean, Lemurian consciousness to it, where if they step into their power, they might press the button and blow the whole thing up.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You know, I've had clients over the years. It's really fast. This is, I mean, I've heard the weirdest stuff you could ever imagine, but this was pretty wild. Like several clients in telling me either through regressions that I was in for them or other visions or regressions or dreams that they were part of like science teams in Atlantis that were building weapons that ended up destroying the earth. And they felt this tremendous guilt. And they had to come back here during this time to reconcile that, what they did. Right. Yeah. But, you know, it's much more common is that we were a witch or a political dissident, or, you know, we had gone against the church or something, and we had our head lopped off or our fingers cut off. You know, it was like the gruesome scenes in Casino. You know what I'm talking about, right? You know, so, you know, this stuff happened to us, right? So we may have this inherent fear somewhere in ourselves of being who we really can be for fear of being attacked. A lot of people talk to me like, oh, they believe they get attacked from the dark. It's like, I never worry about it at all. There's no point in worrying about it because you just do you, just do the light. The light is always more powerful than the dark anyways. And the more you give anything focus or attention, then the more likely it is to bother you. You know, it's not, there's no benefit to focusing in that direction.
Agreed. And if you're that involved and that much in the fear, I eventually work with the clients that I do in this particular space, which is very few and far between. But it's like, all right, it's time for you to blow it up. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Let's go there and let's be with that power. And let's see what occurs. I'm going to sit here with you and I'll help you do it if you want me to.
And isn't that how we overcome anything in our lives right?
Yeah.
And that's the Aries energy. I would say it's the fuck it energy.
Yeah.
Go for it. Just do it.
My Uranus and Pluto are both in that. And no, they're in Virgo. That's different. It's not the Aries. Okay. But still. Anyway, I won't get into my chart.
The Pluto and Virgo generation, like you, are such great teachers if they really like harness that part of their chart.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And really profound in their words as you are.
Thank you for that. Everybody, we're going to get into, there's some great questions coming in the chat. I want to get to that in a little bit, but Matthew, we have to go through a special offer because it's awesome.
Sure.
And I want to make sure everybody has the opportunity to participate. Y'all click on the special offer link. I'm not going to share screens because I want you to be able to look at Matthew if you want to, and split the screens. But definitely click on it. Again, opportunity to work one-on-one with Matthew for this low price also, including the workshops.
Yeah.
Freaking awesome. package A and package B. Matthew, take us through it.
Yeah, absolutely. So package A is going to be a nice introduction. My Ascending is One program is my signature group mentorship program. We're going to come up on 2 years very soon. I've had so many amazing awakenings, healings, people's lives shifting in miraculous ways through just being a part of this group. These are wonderful 3-hour calls. We normally do them live on Sundays from 4 to 7 Eastern. Don't feel obligated to join the whole call. Don't feel obligated to even come to the call live if you can't make it. A lot of people just watch the recordings. Don't feel obligated to do all the calls. Pick and choose what works for you. The first hour of the call is astrology. I'm an astrologer. I was recently on a lot of different astrology panels, and it's just over the years become such a passion of mine more and more. So the first hour, I go really in depth into everything that's going on for the current week. I help you plan out your week day to day. Okay, Monday's looking like this. Thursday's looking like this. Watch out for this. Maybe this is a good day to do this. You get downloadable notes to print out or save to your computer so you know how to navigate your week. Then the second and third hours, we go into the topic for the day. Okay, April is going to be fantastic. Healing your throat chakra, connecting with Lemuria. Okay, we talked about Lemuria a little bit. I'm going to take you on a journey as a group, and if you're especially if you're on the live call, it's going to be great, to Lemuria. And I'm going to go through all of the information I have from my many, many journeys to Lemuria through the astral plane, my lives that I've seen, and also from Edgar Casey's work as well, because he's one of my only really trusted sources that I on Lemuria and Atlantis,
Nice.
right? And so I'm going to take you through all that information and the guided journey. And the idea is not just for you to see it, but also if you were in Lemuria, or if you were in Atlantis and you were a part of the destruction of Lemuria, right? Or whatever that legacy is for you energetically, we're going to alchemize it. We're going to alchemize it. You might cry it out. You feel that, guilt, you might feel whatever, but we're going to alchemize it, clear out those karmic cobwebs in your field so they're not there anymore. Nutrition for Ascension, end of April. We're going to do that. Okay. June, healing your third eye chakra, connecting with Atlantis. We'll do the same sort of journey now to Atlantis on the 8th. And then coaching skills 101. I'm going to teach you the basics of life coaching because that's how I started. I started way long ago as a coach and then went into Reiki and then the psychic stuff, right? You also get a bunch of wonderful bonus classes, understanding your starseed origins, clearing your inner blocks, activate your maximum financial abundance, mastering your intuition, the human energy field 101. That's all package A. Package B is the deep dive, and you have a private session with me. I have availability very soon. The sooner you sign up, the sooner you can get a session with me. In these sessions, you can ask me literally anything. You want to know where you're from in the stars. You want to know about your past life karma you're carrying. You want me to read your natal chart. You want to know about your purpose. You want to know about your mission as a starseed. You want to know about your relationships. What were you and another person doing when you were souls incarnated in other bodies in another life? You want to help with making an important decision in your life. I can answer any questions. I call them Ask Matthew Anything, Ask Me Anything readings. Okay. You also get bonus Ascending as One calls, how to do shamanic drumming and healing your feminine mother wounds. And those bonus VIP calls include my Sirian channeling. We're going to give you a preview. The end of today's call, I'm going to do about 5-7 minutes of channeling, see what the Sirians have to say. I have no idea what they're going to say. I'm just going to open up the forum to them. It's like dialing them up on the phone astrally. We'll see what they have to say. But I do a full 45 minute to an hour of channeling, and you can ask the Sirians your questions. They love talking about their history in their part of the galaxy. They love discussing what's going on our planet. They love giving people personal readings as well. So you can ask your questions of the Sirians on those VIP calls. Okay, you get that private session with me. You also get some other bonus recorded webinars, how to be a successful spiritual entrepreneur. I share with you all of my secrets of what made me a successful spiritual entrepreneur. I give it all away. Okay, I'm not the type of person that's going to want to upsell you into some $1,000+ business course. I do not do business coaching at all. I do not do it, and I will never do it. What I do is I give you all my trade secrets for, usually I sell for $44, but here it's for free in package B. Okay. Intro to mediumship. Okay. Literally, if you want to know how to connect and talk to people on the other side, I will teach you the entire protocol. Okay. Again, you don't need to necessarily go enroll in multi-$1,000 programs. Try this first. It's right in front of you. Just watch it. And if you actually follow what I'm teaching you, you'll absolutely be able to communicate with the other side by the end of the call. Understanding and seeing your past lives. Ditto. You want to know how to actually go into your past lives? I'm going to teach you on this call. these are introductory courses that are not introductory courses, because I talk as fast as I'm talking now and as loud as I'm talking now, and I teach you as much as I can in 3 hours. And if you actually apply it, you don't need stacks of books. You don't need multi-$1,000 courses. Just do these. See where you get. If you follow what I'm teaching, you're going to get far. So that's package B. And you also get the bonus, clearing geopathic stress. Again, like, and I don't mean this to evoke any fear. It's just there have been studies that if someone's sleeping on a bed, okay, or like a love seat, that a TV chair that has a geopathic stress line or underground water underneath it, the incidence of cancer go up by 150 some percent. And again, I don't want to cause any fear. I'm just saying, like, it's just something to know about, and it's something you can very easily mitigate in your home if you know just the protocol to do it. So you get that as a bonus. March 24th, it's a live call. Sign up for package B, early bird by March 22nd. But again, if you want to get a session with me in April, make sure, or even end of March, make sure you get in as quick as you can. And you get that bonus call on the 24th.
I love that we're also going to learn how to do shamanic drumming.
Oh, I know. It's right up your alley.
You took me into the shamanic realm.
If I could get you to come hang out on that call, you're absolutely welcome. I don't know what your schedule is that day, but
please send me an invitation. That sounds amazing.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That would be incredible.
Y'all join me on that one. I've got my drum. I've been carrying it around the world. So
the hardest part, honestly, is figuring out the audio settings. You have to go to, like, authentic
studio, right?
Studio for music, right? The first couple of times I did drumming on Zoom calls, no one can hear anything. It's like, oh, it's just the Zoom settings. It's literally all it is, right?
Y'all, all this, it's invaluable. First and foremost, and again, if you apply what's being taught here, what you discover within yourself, that power, it's a natural power. It's a flow of energy that you access. That's what I call power. This natural organic flow that is uninterrupted by denser materials that are blocking it. When you get into those practices and you become that Merkaba within yourself, you activate it, you feel it, you know it, and you create with it. So just that by itself, freaking amazing. This is going to be fun too. So what's the study? It takes 400 repetitions to form a new neural pathway of a particular thing. If you do it with the emotional energy of play and fun, it takes 20.
Really?
Brings that in. Yes, that's a truth.
Wow.
That's for a synapse, not a neural pathway to fire a synapse. So the repetition in that playful, fun, engaged way, exponential way you're able to integrate such a short amount of time.
I had astrologer Evan Nathaniel Grimm, who's one of the most brilliant men I've ever encountered. I recorded a live podcast with him in LA, and he read my chart, and he said that is like, the way you teach things, I can tell you put a lot of fun and humor into it. I'm like, yeah, you're right, I do. He's like, that's so important. That's such one of the major things you came here to do, is to add, this sense of play and fun. And it's all the Sagittarius and fifth house energy. So,
so we get all that, y'all. And then to get also the time for your readings so that you can feel into really, again, allow the flow of energy of recognizing. It's like your body lights up. It's like, oh my God, that's right. Laren, or my God, that Arcturian energy, or whoever you may be. And at the origin of it all, y'all, I can tell you, if you have to ask, if you want to get to the root of who you are, just know it's really simple. Your love. And whatever emanates from that is an expression of that love in multiple ways. But by how beautiful that you take on these different expressions, not just for yourself, but to serve us, your brothers and sisters, in this journey as well. So blessings to you on that. Y'all, take advantage of the special offer. $97 for package A. It's nothing. $177 that includes the bonus call. It includes the shamanic drumming. I can't wait to participate with y'all in that.
The live reading.
And the reading, exactly. So it's there for y'all. Part of the gift of being able to log on here on Beyond the Ordinary Show, and what a beautiful gift to get to share with y'all through the generosity of Matthew. So again, I hope you take advantage of it. And Matthew, with that, I want to get into some more Q&A.
Yeah.
I want to do it. So let me get back on the proper page so we can do it. User 937, I know you can't start your video, but if you can unmute yourself and ask your question, that'd be wonderful.
I'm not unmuted?
You are unmuted, actually. So hello.
Great. Yeah, hi Matthew, hi John.
Hi. What's your name?
My name is Susan.
Hi, Susan.
What's your question for Matthew?
I would like to know my origin, and it would be really fantastic to find out what my mission is.
Yeah. So let's see. First, they're showing me. They showed me Sirian first. They showed me the Andromeda Galaxy next, and we'll see if there's any other. I do see an Orion piece. I see a Blue Avian piece. I do see a Mantis piece as well. Sirius is where you came from the Andromeda Galaxy, and you came to Earth from Sirius as well. When I asked about mission, what do they tell me? Just give me a moment. You're definitely the teacher. Did you ever have any jobs where you were like teaching or like in a position of anything close to teaching?
No jobs, but I've had a lot of people tell me that I should be a teacher.
Okay. So that's what they showed me right away. You are the teacher archetype. Coming from Sirius, I get visions that you were a male being and you were leading these mass seminars, teaching very important skills and history to the people of the planet. And you really came here to teach. I do get the sense in other lifetimes you have been a teacher of some school, and some actually there was a political lifetime way before electricity where, well, somewhat like 18th century where, I don't know, you were going around teaching whatever your political ideals were. But in this life and what's relevant moving forward for you, boy, I just energetically, I feel you would make a wonderful coach first, and then maybe like psychic teacher as a corollary, which is actually exactly how I started. I hope you get a chance to join our coaching skills call in June. I think you'll learn a lot from that and really activate that piece of you. But I just get a wonderful sense of you carrying the codes to be able to help people to figure out their own journeys through asking the right questions, and then being able to create content that teaches others. I don't know what your current occupation is, but I can tell you that if you were to put all of your energy into creating a career, a business in the new age field, again, I would begin as kind of a coach and a teacher, and then integrate psychic and healing skills with that. You would do very well, that people would really resonate with your voice. You've got a bit of a throat chakra blockage that hasn't fully been worked through. There's like a resonance of resentments that come from, relationships with probably family members in this life and maybe someone else too. And just not ever fully feeling like you step fully into your full activated potential. And you are just not, energetic, you're really just a sliver away from busting through that and really kind of stepping into a more actualized version of self that is a teacher on this planet, a spiritual teacher like myself. I hope you get to do our packages, because we have healing your throat chakra coming up in April, right? Which is going to be amazing. And how does this resonate for you?
It sounds familiar, but
Good.
with the eclipse coming up, won't that push me over the edge if there's just a thin line there now?
Don't worry about pushing you over the edge. So, maybe I didn't mean to be so dramatic. I am naturally very dramatic in the way that I describe things because I just find it keeps people's attention, right? But no, don't worry about getting pushed over the edge. That's a very fear-based mentality. Oh, do you mean in a positive way? I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Yes, in a positive way, absolutely. It's going to give you the energy. It's going to give you the codes you need. Yeah.
What should I be focusing on then during that time?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I misunderstood what you meant. Yeah.
She asked what should she be focusing on during that time?
I would begin with, okay, what up until, like, if you think about where you are at right now, what do you feel you're able to teach others that goes along with the spiritual field, right? And start there. So it's a really cathartic thing to like create a new website or a new Facebook page, social media, etc., because it helps to imprint this identity of this part of you that is that teacher, healer, etc., into the grid, right? Because we could say the internet is just another layer of reality. It's just it's another template, right, to this earth reality. Like for me, when in 2017, I'd come back from Brazil where everything opened up for me. My old self identity literally dissolved, and this new person was born. But on the 3D, I was very ill coming back from Brazil. I was completely broke. I had no idea where I was going. I was very confused. I was very much in fear, very ungrounded. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was delivering pizzas until I figured something else out. And one day I was like, I can't do this. This is ridiculous. There's so much more I can contribute. And I just literally that night, I stayed up all night and I created a new website. I had intuitively already downloaded the You Are a Divine Human name when I was in Brazil. It just wasn't ready yet to manifest right in the physical. And I just created this whole new platform. And I can tell you, it didn't take more than 4 months from then until people were finding me on Facebook, on YouTube, and I was doing sessions and I stopped delivering pizzas and it was like that. So that's my advice, is use this eclipse energy to start with what you know. Don't worry about what you don't know or aren't too confident with yet. Start with what you are fairly confident with, and that momentum will then build upon itself.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
And use the tips in my How to Be a Successful Spiritual Entrepreneur webinar in the package to do the 3D stuff as far as getting yourself out there. People have to find you, right? And getting a mailing list going, and it's really practical stuff that people don't know. But I'm someone who's been through it, been through the hard work of getting to a place where I'll never ever not be booked, I would say, right? And so I teach you this in that webinar.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for calling in. It's great to have you on here. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Matthew, we have a question, and I think this applies. A lot of people
Yeah.
would love the answer to this. How can we tell where we're from?
Yeah. Okay. So couple ways. I mean, you can ask me, right? You can ask me in a session or here, if you come on. I also do offer, full regression sessions where we take a journey to the stars. John, you and I did one. They're pretty cool. I have very limited availability for those. But if you book months in advance, you can get those on my website. But so those are ways with me. On your own, first of all, where do you feel drawn to? Okay, I have a memory of when I was in Israel traveling in 2006, I think around then. I had never heard of star seeds back then. Not a lot of people had in 2006, 7, et cetera. But I just remember I have this memory of obsessively gazing at Sirius, and I didn't know that it was Sirius. Right. Mm-hmm. And I had this intuitive, I just felt one night staring at it that I was in it, there, but I didn't understand it back then. So literally which stars in the sky have you found yourself which part of the sky? That can be a subtle indication, but then, you got to be able to kind of Google it or use the star apps and try to figure that out. Right. Doing guided meditations. Okay. or just listening to this sort of material. Like if you get the package, which I hope you do, understanding your starseed origins is one of the recorded webinars, 3-hour webinar. I go over all the different traits of all sorts of different species from around our galaxy and even outside of our galaxy. Which ones do you feel an intuitive resonance with? Just like, oh yeah, that, like, I remember when I first figured out I'm Sirian, I was just scrolling. I was traveling. I was at a public library. I had just come off of a plant medicine experience. I was in a really heightened vibration, and I was just scrolling the internet for like spiritual stuff. And I came across some like wacky website that looked like it was made with GeoCities in like 1999. And it had a list of like star origins with just text and no pictures. And as soon as I read the word Sirian, I'm like, that's me. I just knew it. I felt it, you know? So it's that paying attention to that intuitive like pull, and don't box yourself in to it having to be one place, because I found that at least 50%, if not more, I think about 60% now of star seeds actually come from multiple places, right? So don't box yourself into it having to be one place, right? Doing guided meditations that are specific to the Pleiadians or the Sirians, or reading books specific to anytime you're consuming content, just pay attention to where is the pull, right? But again, you can also just ask me if you want.
Yeah, amazing. And if you do open your heart to the curiosity of what's come through, synchronicity, really, like the pings, the magnetic pull becomes unmistakable in very loud ways. And again, if it's not clear, if you're getting, well, it's Pleiadian, but it's Sirian, maybe it's both, I don't know. Ask Matthew. It's like he'll tune it in. It's like what we tuned into mine. It's like my whole session is like, I've got to find that download again, because holy moly, y'all. Absolutely amazing what was coming
going
through.
Back to you, yeah, being a galaxy, like of your original or origins, right? And that experience.
It was amazing. And then going down and being able to describe how I hopped onto this plane, going through Lyra, and my description of Lyra and how it evolved and the buildings there and what it felt like. And it's the essence of how it built into its current consciousness. It's phenomenal, y'all. It's just, again, it's so empowering.
How do you feel, like, because we have a lot of Lyran starseeds on this call and watching the replay, how do you feel that Lyran piece like ends up manifesting in the 3D world for you?
For me, it's, well, there's a lot of different components to it. But it's the sense of empowerment that you can carry very peacefully.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of power in my sensuality.
Yes.
There's a lot of power in my knowledge. There's a lot of power in the way I wield the energy, but I don't have to wield it for the sake of getting something or manipulating something towards me.
Yeah.
It's like when the martial artist master just knows how he is, and you don't know if he's the janitor or the guardian at the temple. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's just
so
peaceful in its elegance in the way that it carries it. I believe it's what we're striving for here, knowing that what we've been through and knowing that we're not going to recreate the same thing. So we know how powerful we are. And because of that, we hold it very responsibly and with a lot of reverence. And that it's so beautiful.
And just, if you don't mind, like, I also noticed two distinct things: the intense connection you have with the natural world, and how you've learned so masterfully how to use the benefits of the natural world to enhance life and to accelerate our journey of consciousness and ascension. And also the, Lyran starseeds, like we talked about with the one caller, you always end up in a lot of different places on the planet. And you certainly have, and you will continue to, traveling a lot.
And my Taurus North Node loves all of that with my Sagittarius as well. But again, that's a whole different reading.
That
we
is
don't have
right.
to get into. It's amazing, y'all. Again, the special offer, there's so much there. And again, the 20 minutes and package B and the bonuses, absolutely phenomenal. The links, you know where to find it in the chat box below the video. Matthew, we have to get into the transmission. Before we do that, I want to take another caller.
Yeah. Yeah.
User 421, welcome to the call. I know you texted me, so I want to make sure that we got to you. Can you unmute your microphone? Can you find that? Oh, it says you're unmuted, but we can't hear you, so I'm not sure.
You know, while she's figuring out, user 535 wrote about they never forgot about how Amora Kuan Yin's book, The Pleiadian Workbook, fell off the shelf. That happened to me as well. Okay, wow. Whoever you are, that book also fell off the shelf to me, and that was one of the principal, workbooks that I used to accelerate my learning of a lot, and especially how to work with energy. And I always recommend that book to not just because I'm not a Pleiadian starseed myself, but I learned so much from the Pleiadians. I literally use their grounding and their shielding technique from that Pleiadian workbook every day. So that's a great one.
Amazing. 421, no, we can't hear you, love. Bummer. You want to type your question into the chat box?
Yeah, type it in.
Hello, is that me?
There we go.
Nope, it's not you.
Oh.
No, okay.
Nope, you're not 421. No, it's not 421. Nice try, though.
Type it in. I think that'll be good.
And she was saying it was Gail that wrote in about
another great question. User 803, I'm allergic to much of the food and plants here on Earth. Is that a sign from being somewhere other than here before? Yes, and it's also a sign that in another life you were poisoned. You received poisoning from consuming a plant, and a life ended like that. And there's just like a fear deep down within the, your unconsciousness about consuming the wrong thing. But also you do come from another galaxy where it's completely different, plants than we have in this galaxy and on Earth. So it's a bit of both of those things.
All right, here we go. User 421. I don't see your question typed in.
Oh, good. So user 564 bought and booked. It's a little bit different having the numbers rather than the names.
It is. Zoom's messing me up that way because I love people's names and connection.
1655 said, if you have a reading with Matthew, you'll find he's one of the kindest people you'll ever meet, along with John. Thank you.
Nice. Yep. All right, 421. I've always said this planet is mildly habitable to me. I thought it was a joke till now. And user 421, are you typing in your question? Give me a thumbs up because I want to make sure that we have enough time to get into the transmission. All right. Matthew's personal VIP readings are awesome. Thank you all for being patient in this.
Thank you.
Matthew, so I saw Matthew at Conscious Life Expo a few weeks ago. We got to finally meet in person, even though we kept missing each other.
I know. It was
the whole time we were there. When you were at that expo, were you noticing more of a particular type of starseed there? Was there like...
Oh, wow.
That's
a great question.
Was it more Pleiadian, a lot of Sirians there? Were there a lot of the Draconians there? I don't know.
I saw a mix of just everything. It was like it's the biggest spiritual convention in the world, and we could call it also the biggest starseed convention in the world, as well. Because almost everyone there is starseeds. If not, they're the rare breed of very awakened, accelerating, earth seeds. But I saw all different, and I encountered all different types, right? So yeah, it was pretty cool.
Love that. It's
one of the coolest things, like one of the most practical applications of like figuring out where you're from is feeling the resonance when you meet someone from the same place. Just, for me, like almost everyone that when there's just an instant connection with, usually the connection is humor involved in it, being a Sirian, right? Sirian starseeds, like I connect so instantly with them. And, you'll find that when you figure out whether you're primarily Pleiadian, Sirian, Arcturian, etc., you will have an instant connection with others. And, it's hard to walk into Walmart and be like, when I was first waking up to this stuff, I went to an auxiliary Burning Man festival in Delaware, of all places. It was actually really amazing. It was the biggest, like, non-Burning Man, in the country. It was on the East Coast. And there's a little exercise on the Saturday night where everyone takes a piece of paper, writes down a secret, right? And the exercise is like, everyone, hugging each other, and it's okay. People were writing really personal things. I was sexually abused, or my father died in a car accident, right? Or I'm a drug addict, right? So I wrote, I'm a starseed, and I was the only one that wrote that. And I walked around, and I got hundreds of people coming like, what is that? That was one of the beginnings of like kind of recognizing on some intuitive level that I was meant to be a teacher of this sort of stuff, right? And I had already, had the Sirian kind of inclination at that point, and I, started especially connecting with the Sirian. So that is one of the coolest things. Just like, hey, you're Scorpio sun, you connect with other Scorpio suns. You're an Aries sun, you can, it's like astrology where you find your archetype. You'll find there's such a natural connection with others of the same archetype.
Agreed. So amazing, so fun. All right, user 421, you didn't type in your name. I got your question though. Type in your name just so we can know it. But she wants to know, could you let me know my mission with work? A lot of licenses and certifications, but a hesitance to fully launch. And she's a big shake up with health issues. And so she really aligned with your loss of identity. Not quite sure where to build from now.
Yeah. There's something in your karmic history. Can we get a name? It's so, I feel like name? This is like a dystopian movie where we all now have like it's Idiocracy, the UPC code right here. It's like 64531, right? I jest, but okay, Andrea?
Reina, the queen.
Reina. Oh, I don't know. I thought I heard. Andrea, okay. Reina. Okay. Reina, with 421 on your UPC code. Okay, I intuitively get the sense that you're carrying this past life karmic baggage of in another life you had basically been a witch / healer. You had kind of been friends to people in power and helping out people in power, and you were murdered for helping out the people you did, and by basically opposing political factions, etc. There is a throat chakra constriction that you haven't fully overcome. You're much farther along, I'm sure, than you were a couple of years ago. But that's what it's all about. That's why, and I've seen this kind of archetype of healer a lot of times over the years, and almost there's no judgment implied here. It's just a matter of like women more than men, because the patriarchal history of the planet can carry this sort of karmic archetype. Is getting a ton of certifications and doing a ton of classes and programs, spending a lot of money, but not really getting anywhere as far as your identity in the field. And the solution to it is to be very unique in your presentation. Okay. I would advise not to, you may have the question of like, oh, should I identify myself as this or this or this, or should I put myself out there under the umbrella of this teacher or this program or this lineage? My advice would be to put yourself out there as a unique individual with a unique public name that's not your, and it's not about disowning your name. It's about like, Matthew John's my first and middle. Okay. When I had that change in identity, that came to me that was going to be my public name. And for you, a public name that's different than a stage name, would be the industry word for it, right? That's different than your name of birth. That part of that massive identity shift, which is Plutonian in nature in your chart, is very important right now. And you're a powerful healer where you can go direct to the source and work directly with source and make very profound changes in people's bodies and energy fields. Through working with others, you'll find the solution to your own health issues. The solutions to your own health issues will not be found through supplements, drugs, homeopathy. They'll be found through energy. They'll be found through working with others. And as a corollary, you'll find your own physical healing coming about. And be patient with that as well, because your soul's going to want to maybe have you, your soul's going to want to make sure you don't deviate from the path. So your soul's going to make sure, no matter what, you keep charging ahead into what your soul needs for you to do as far as your starseed mission. It's just in your chart, it's going to be along the lines, look where Chiron is. anyways, I hope that makes sense. The solution is kind of like it's what John and I talked about before. I would call it's the throat chakra. It's the fuck it, let's just do it. I hope you join our throat chakra call and Ascending as One next month. They're in both packages. But regardless, now's the time to just take no more courses. If you're doing one now, finish it up, fine. But no more courses.
Love that.
Just get started as you are with what you know and learn through practice, learn through the work with others. Okay. And you'll find your voice, you'll find your identity, and it'll be the path that ends up healing everything else as well. For so many light workers and healers, and I speak to everyone with this, for so many light workers and healers, etc. And no, it doesn't matter. Pronunciation is different, birth name. What I mean is, like, for your identity out in the world, just have it be totally new, I would say, is what the intuitive information was. You know how there's people out there, they, their names sound like they could be indigenous, or they're, light codes this or whatever. Like, and I know that's going to be the scariest thing to a part of you, because it seems like, wow, I can't hide, right? As I'm just a person. No, I'm like out there as a special person. You're supposed to be a special person. The longer you avoid being a special person out there, the more this anxiety and angst and agita is gonna build up inside you. So that's my intuitive advice for you.
Thank you so much, Raina, for typing in. Matthew, I want to get into the transmission. We're running a little bit over, but I want to drop into that. And one thing that I want to say to Raina and to everybody else here on the call, also these energies and these eclipses and what's coming forward, what we're reconciling within ourselves. And there's a quote that says that the king who fears war invites it to his doorstep. And this is a place where we've been giving our power away for other places. And so this warring energy that's coming up within, it's also reconciling, where we've been giving ourselves away to the authority of another and diminishing our sovereignty for whatever reason. And it's time to reclaim it. So all the seeking and the hoping that we're going to receive something is you have everything that you need, y'all. You have everything you need, and claim that sovereignty. Go ahead, Matthew.
And the New Age field is not an exception to that.
That's right.
In fact, in many ways, the New Age field can be even a harsher wake-up call to that lesson of life, of not allowing. I mean, I have heard stories from all different edges of the New Age world over the past decade of power, misuse of power, right, within the New Age field. And a very subtle manifestation of that could be like feeling the necessity to, now for some people, like let's say you studied QHHT, which I love, and that is what calls to you and makes your heart sing, then do it. There's nothing, there's nothing negative about it. But if you feel like you're ever under the thumb of a certain person, teacher, a certain modality, a certain protocol, that's a sign that there's something a little energetically off, because it shouldn't feel like being under the thumb. It should feel like support. If it doesn't feel like support, then it may be telling you to go in your own direction. And that's Aries.
Yep. Amazing. Raina, thank you. Matthew, Sirian transmission.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Y'all, before Matthew gets into it, because we're gonna say goodbye right afterwards, click on the special offer button. Click on the special offer button in the chat underneath the video, or if you're just listening to audio, just remember beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Matthew32. You get the reading, you get these classes. Again, it's all there. Check it out. And Matthew, the transmission, please.
Yeah, and by the way, I just wanted to thank like all the live viewers, and because this was a massive live crowd today. I'm thrilled. This was massive, right? So thank you and for those who watched the recording, I love you too. But it was great to have such a huge live crowd today. It was really great.
That's wonderful.
So I am going to get into channel, and I'm going to channel a group of Sirian extraterrestrials. There's 5 of them that kind of channel their consciousness, their voice into one voice through me. And I'm just taking in what I'm receiving and giving it to you in my own words, essentially. So let me close my eyes, take a deep breath, and get into channel. And I have no idea what's about to come through. I have no questions for them at all. I just want them to give us 5, 6, 7 minutes, whatever we have time for. So here we go.
Beautiful. All right.
Greetings, dearest ones. We are the Sirians. If you are not familiar with us, if you are here listening to us for the first time, we are so grateful for your presence. We have been telling our channel over and over, and we hear him laughing inside about how we wish him to bring us to new audiences so we can give you the type of guidance and information that we have spent our lifetimes compiling here with the intention of disseminating this type of energy, information, vibration throughout our galaxy, and especially to you. We as a council, yes, we focus mostly on you on Earth. There are other channelers on your planet that we work with, not just your dear channeler that you are listening to today, but we have chosen Earth as our intended destination for our guidance and information because we are fascinated with the trajectory of your planet as you attempt to move through a massive period of darkness, as you all know has been the case on your planets. We applaud all of you that are doing the work energetically to attempt to raise your vibration to places, to levels that you have not yet achieved prior to this time in your ascension process. Every time you might imagine you notch up energetically, you are likely to encounter some sort of resistance. This makes sense, does it not? As you raise something higher, whatever has been holding that, whatever has been preventing you from reaching through the ceiling and into that next level of vibrational experience in existence is going to need to be moved through. Makes sense, does it not? We here on our planet here on the outskirts of Sirius B, we like to teach our young ones as they are growing up that whenever they encounter some sort of difficulty of any kind, whether it is a small squabble with their friends or feeling overwhelmed by responsibilities from our schools, or feeling like perhaps their parents aren't hearing them in the way that they would appreciate being heard, we always like to remind our young ones to immediately address what they are feeling inside. And we feel this is a lesson that would be very important for you listening to us and for all of you on your planet to really understand and integrate, is that whenever you are feeling something come up, is to address it right away. We see, and you know how disease is rampant on your planet. You have been told by your doctors and your science, medical science experts that your rates of cancer on your planet have grown to new heights in recent years. And although, yes, your planet is very polluted and it makes us sad as much as we can feel sadness from our place up here, which is a very blissful experience, as we often like to tell groups through Matthew, is as much as we can feel that sadness, we do feel the sadness of the weight of the pollution on your planet. But that pollution is not just manifest physically. We could remind you that the pollution also manifests emotionally. And whenever you feel emotions that are not in line with what your soul, you might think of, might be feeling, which is joy or content, being happy, being loving, heart open. When you're feeling emotions come up, whether they are from interpersonal situations or situations in your daily life or something that has been bothering you for many years, or perhaps something even in the outside world, we might remind you the sooner you address what is going on, the easier it will be for you to actually alchemize it and to understand what it is trying to teach you. For any experience, any feeling of discordance within your energy field is trying to communicate with you something. For our young ones here on our planet, when they might feel a sense of mild discordance, as much as we are able to feel negative emotions here, let's say, for example, in a squabble with another young one, if they're able to listen to within what that emotion of feeling the discordance is trying to tell them, then they will be able to move through it instantly. And as such, they develop an emotional intelligence, might be the term that you use, quite quickly. So we may remind you of this lesson that we like to teach our young ones here, is to address right away whatever it is that you are feeling. And we had mentioned Cancer before, and we can feel many of you are currently going through the Cancer experience, or know others very close to you that are. And we may remind you that the experience of Cancer manifests physically. On one level of that, if you go to the emotional level, dear ones, is the experience of stuck emotional energy located somewhere in your energy field. This stuck emotional energy may have accumulated for many, many years. In fact, you may have pre-programmed this into your life plan, as you may call it, into your energy field to magnetize this type of experience to you in this lifetime in order for you to work with this specific emotion. As you are in a polarized third density experience, there's only so much that you're able to work on in each lifetime that you create. And in each lifetime, there will be different, let's say, goals, different focuses of what type of emotions you want to deal with during that lifetime. So we would say to you, dear ones, if you think of the emotions that recur to you most, the negative emotions that recur to you most, if you think of what types of events or people or what things are said that trigger those feelings, and where in your body and where in your energy field that you find this recurrence of emotion, and ask that part of your field, ask that part of your body, we would teach you what it is trying to tell you. That, we would say, is the first step to addressing it head on. And whatever it is trying to teach you, it may require quite a bit of courage, quite a bit of overcoming fear to move in that direction in your physical reality. But that is the only way for that energy to completely and finally dissipate out of your energy field. So you may notch up, like we began this transmission telling you, into higher and higher elevations of vibration. We are hearing from our channel that our time is up. We would love to speak to you more, and we hope our channel will bring us through more and more. And we thank you for your attention today, dear ones.
Amazing. Thank you for opening up the channel and for sharing that and for bringing that in. So amazing. Y'all, more Matthew, give him the special offer. Come back and listen to the replay. Of course, if you have the opportunity. Again, package A is $97. Package B, which includes your session with him, is only $177. I'm excited for you all to participate, discover more of who you are, and to play. So y'all are amazing. So wonderful. Thank you for being here. Matthew, you're awesome, man. Every time it's so fun with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I love you so much. And just thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you again. Thank you for being here. We'll connect again soon. And I'm shamanic drumming, y'all. Y'all join me on that call.
Yeah. Okay. You're in.
I'm in.
You're in.
All right. Bye, everybody. Have a great evening.